So,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
yeah.
I also posted I posted a thing in the chat, a link to 5 reasons why pirate ship democracy is so cool. It's that History News Network article. That's pretty short read. Just like I think there's a lot of sociocracy going on there too, and a lot of Igora too. I mean, I think pirates would have loved Igora and sociocracy.
So this sociocracy thing, it kind of ties back into the point that I wanted to make, essentially revisioning what it means for a nation, what it means to
Yeah,
actually be a part of a nation.
So the argument I've been like kind of coming hard and strong at kind of recently. So I've been doing these Zoom meetups for about like a month and a half. And a lot of people want to talk about like philosophy this, or analytical this, and or let's talk about the election and what decisions other people are making and whatnot. And I don't know, I want to start doing something like I think there's all kinds of great ideas out there, but it's just like we can talk about AI and what it can do for us, but I don't have AI right here. What I do have is a few faces, talking heads that seem to have overlap in the goals we're trying to go for. So like yesterday was an enthusiastic talk I had with Daniel, and pirate was like the theme and glamour of a lot of our conversation, but it's not just limited to that. Like there's something fun about coming up with like cartoonish like motivation for changing the world, right? Like I guess I'll put it this way. Napoleon said, freedom was just a pretext for the revolution, right? Really, variety is what won the war, right? The one.
Yeah, he also said imagination really rules the world. It's imagination that really rules the world. Napoleon.
Yeah. So I've been thinking a lot, like, I like one of my favorite personal noble causes is like the environment. If I had to pick which cause is probably most important to me, I'd say the environment. There's a lot of other stuff that's important to me, governance, this issue or that issue, and I'm not trying to belittle it by glossing over them. But I was saying, listen, even if the environment's already fucked, well, what if we can't necessarily do something about this issue or that issue, or what if there's bigger battles to fight? Like, I guess there's this theme of all the noble causes, even like they're worthwhile to have. And yeah, we should save the world and the environment if we can. We shouldn't knock those off the table. But really what's going to motivate us is fun. It's got to be fun. It has to be rewarding in the act of doing, so that, it doesn't matter whether we succeeded or not. We were part of a pirate crew. We were part of Fight Club. We were part of whatever you want to call it. I think we have sophisticated enough brains on board already that it wouldn't turn into something like Nazism. But you know what I mean? It's
well, it might be seen that way by some people for sure.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say to like David earlier. If he was saying like, "Are you serious? Y'all are talking about pirates and changing the world at the same time." Like, look, the Nazis, which they didn't succeed, and they were fucked up, but they had skulls and crossbones on their uniforms. So I mean, if we're talking about pirate glamour, getting people a certain distance along in the field.
Well, so you're now getting into the thing that's dearest to my heart, which is the next 2 generations of children. All this shit you and I are talking about here, all us enlightened folks, all us woke folks here, you go around the world and you'll see that probably 95% of people, 95% of the time live in a language-induced hypnotic trance. And until we get a critical mass of humans that are awake, who aren't under the spell of the voice in their head, I don't see any possible future saving the environment, doing anything. If you got a bunch of people that are all a bunch of unconscious language monkeys, we're doomed. We've got to wake up the next 2 generations of kids.
So this is the kind of argument I was having, that not everyone is supposed to get awakened.
No, a lot of people won't. No, a lot of people will. I see Earth as a living system undergoing a metamorphosis. Right now, it's whatever it was, the caterpillar, and it's going to become a butterfly or something, you know, I mean, that's a rough analogy. And a lot of the people alive today are committed to the caterpillar and are going to die doing caterpillar work. And that's fine. The problem is the next 2 generations of kids. We need a growing mass of conscious human beings who are capable of actually thinking.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything more important than that.
So
It reminds me of that Reagan quote. He said, we're at any time, we're only 1 generation away from losing freedom." You know, people forget what freedom means.
Well, Heron, I think you will really appreciate the International Logic Party. It's essentially an army of philosophers that we're building.
Well, we're trying to build
who can think for themselves and work with others, collaborate with others who also think for themselves. It's quite amazing, astonishing.
Well, I haven't found many people. I find that most people, their language machines do their thinking for them, you know, and especially philosophers.
Well, that's why I think it's important to appeal to the fact that we use monkey-like caricatures, that it's important to use tasty phrases like pirate crew, you know, pirate captain, you know, dojo. So like, pirate's just the most recent word I think we kind of settled on, but like dojo is a popular one amongst the circles we've been running in, and wizard dojo. And the thing is as like a martial arts studio for practicing the best of whatever, being awake that we could be, arguably the dojo is an attempt to, like you were saying, build an army, only not just limited to philosophers or people who would consider themselves philosophers. Because listen, not everyone's going to be an awake cell in the metamorphosis.
Why not?
No, well, here's the thing. In a metamorphosis, if you've got a certain amount of ubiquitous cells or whatever, some of the cells begin the transformation.
Yeah, I know, but in the end, it's all butterfly and the caterpillar is gone.
Yeah. Now, the nervous system tends to keep a lot of its structure through these changes. And that's why there's an argument that, I don't know, we could be the nervous system. We just have to do it yourself, like take some initiative, you know? So like, I don't know, I would say we're trying to build a kind of wizard, philosopher, pirate army over here too. So like, yeah, you sound like come on board. Like, so
next 2 generations of kids. I think that's the key. A lot of old people are just going to die. Fuck them. They're not going to change. They're committed to the old world.
A lot of people are already dead.
Yeah, they're already brain dead. So the real issue is the next couple generations of kids, how they grow up, how they think, how they see the world, how they see themselves in the world. They need to be free from the old bullshit stories that we've all been programmed with.
Okay, so I know how to do this. All right. Now look, Hitler was involved in this project. He called it
youth, yes.
Appealing to the youth. Yes. You know, the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules.
Yeah,
the world.
absolutely.
So look, in people's history of the United States, right? Howard Zinn, it's one of the best book examples that it's hard to tease the details out if you look for yourself, about how our mandatory public education system came from originally Prussian military school model, right? No. So here's the thing. If public education was originally Prussian military school, and let's say it's a good project, right? Let's say it instilled values in kids better than, say, like, oh, you're a Jew, you're supposed to copy a version of this book. And a lot of Jews don't make Orthodox Jews do, but most people who call themselves Jews don't, you know what I mean? So as far as an educational process works, this is like saying universal conscription, only get them while they're young. Get them while they're young. So like, here's the thing. If I said I declared myself king of the world, or at least for now, king of this pirate crew, right? Or the captain or whatever the fuck y'all are willing to concede an honorific to me about, right? That's what we're doing. If we're going to make if the world is going to be under control as a singular organism, it's got to be a control system. And what's the best hierarchical control system that we know of? It's the king as the chief of the military, and everyone is in a hierarchy underneath it. Now, of course, to offset the fact that I am a kind of psychopathic megalomaniac, right? I want y'all to be part of my life.
I don't think you are. You
I'll,
seem like a really nice guy, actually.
Now, I think we need to do away with leaders. I think we need to raise the next two generations of kids so they don't need leaders, but they do need to be unified in their basic understanding of the situation we find ourselves on this planet.
okay, so I'm gonna get on that first and work the hardest to do it. Oh, but I'm not in the lead as far as that race is going. So, yeah.
We don't need to have a leader.
No, well, look, everyone's going to have their aptitudes.
Nonsense.
You're better than me in so many ways, Heron, that I cannot.
I'm good
possibly
at
follow.
language, and that's what I'm good at.
No, and for now, you're going to be the leader of the language department. All right, that's your role in the crew on this pirate ship. All right. And look, Cesare. I'm sorry, I don't know. My name's Chris. I don't know if I'm saying your name right.
Yeah, that's good.
Cesare. So, nice is a 4-letter word to me. So I will argue against that. But yeah, you seem worthwhile so far to meld minds with. So yeah, cheers. But what I was gonna say is if y'all are on the ground floor and have the highest prospects of other Earthlings I've talked to for being a member of my nobility, right? Look, the thing that would make it work best is that I want not just a top-down structure, because I don't want to be an asshole like Hitler. And I don't want to be able to just say, oh, I don't want to listen to you because I can kill you because I claim I'm the pirate king or whatever. So sociocracy doesn't have to be sociocracy. And I hate leaning on like something else to say I'm a this or a that, or I need this philosophy or that philosophy. The spirit of sociocracy just includes within it the bottom up hierarchical structure, so that there's not just feedback from the top down and we got to deal with what whoever upstairs says. It changes the hierarchy into more of a central peripheral structure, not just a top down structure, so that the skin has just as much of a say in what's happening in the inner workings of the ganglia as the rest do. It's just there's not they just for physical and psychological laws, organizations can't help but form in some form of hierarchy. Even if it's an equality-based, equality-promoting organization, there's going to be the first among equals.
It needs structure. There needs to be a structure. The organism, my body, there isn't a rule. The brain doesn't rule the body. The brain takes in information from all the various organs and integrates them, and it doesn't.
Well, it's like a governor in a steam engine, right? It's not the king of the fucking steam engine. No, it's a critical component that's as dependent on the rest of the system as the rest of the system is on it. So it's just, no, it's sad fact that it helps to have a coach for your team, or a helicopter directing traffic, or a dance coordinator. It sucks, but it's
information is important. Obviously, all parts of the system need to be informed about how the other parts are functioning.
Yeah. No, so I boast and I say it with confidence, and I'm learning to take myself more seriously, that I want to be the king of the world. But that's another way of saying I'm trying to subject myself to the worst, most pressuring form of slavery imaginable, which will require me to be as imaginative and morale inspiring as possible. So by all means, you know what I mean? So I've got to qualify that, even if it does mean I get some kind of perks from.
It sounds like you're subjecting your belief system to the ultimate in destructive testing.
Yeah. So like one aspect of this from like the dojo aspect of it is this is technically a kind of competition, right? I want to be the best fucking student of all of y'all, which means I can learn more from y'all, and I want to try to learn more from y'all than y'all can from me, or else you're starting to become the best student, and we should probably start giving you the debriefings on all the stuff that.
You know what? That should be our new currency. That should be the new social currency. Is like, who is making the most genuine progress through quality relationships.
Yeah, which, by the way, Daniel, I did give you those videos. I don't know if you watched them, but you didn't give me a 20-minute video to watch back to like, balance out. So I don't know if you watched that. So,
no, I didn't get to watch it yet, but I will.
Well, I feel like we kind of settled the issue too. So like I was telling him we should be pro-nuclear, right? Because the propaganda I've been exposed to says nuclear's got the least deaths per terawatt hour. It's like so carbon free. But listen, there's lots of people that are exposed to propaganda on the other side. So listen, if one day we organize well enough and have the resources at our disposal, we can sit on top of the hill and look down at our nuclear reactor and our solar farm and our wind farm and say, all right, which one's producing the most? Which one killed?
Well, the last citizen assembly says, all right, tell him about Dave, what's his name, the 20-year energy expert who just like cleaned the floor with nuclear at the last meeting.
Yeah, tell me someone, because I haven't heard any good anti-nuclear talks after.
It's actually on recording. You can watch the playback, but yeah, he was just saying, look, there's already penny a kilowatt power all over the place, and nuclear doesn't have a hope of competing in that market space.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say, Christopher, that I think you might be very intrigued to know that I've created a perfect leadership system within Agora. There's a lot to explore there, because the platform doesn't just create political representatives of the will of the people. It also has to be managed within itself. So there is a very much a bottom-up structure. Well, yeah, it's totally bottom up, but at the same time, it still has people in leadership positions supported from the bottom who actually perform certain roles in managing the system. I'd be happy to show you more later. You would have to see some of the other parts. But as Daniel was saying, the other gentleman's name was Dan. It was also Dan.
Oh, it was Dan, that's right.
And yeah, you see, because the meeting started, it was really happened over the course of 2 meetings. The guy was actually kind of an idiot. I mean, no, he kind of irritated me. Anyways, because the meeting started with me presenting a new idea that became the #1 idea on the idea dominance index. And it was an idea that I had written. I'm not an expert on energy. I don't really give a shit all that much. Frankly, I think there are all kinds of things that are more important to me. But anyway, it is intriguing. It still is interesting. Anyways, this idea, and if I could share my screen, I could show you what the idea that I was presenting was, but it was talking about actually switching over to nuclear. And so this guy, he seemed knowledgeable, and frankly, he was convincing. He said that solar is just much cheaper to produce if you do it right, that essentially the problem is in storing all of that energy. Also, some geopolitical problems of actually using the parts of the Earth that are closest to the equator. We have to work out those political, diplomatic issues to be able to use those best areas for solar. But once we figure out the energy storage, then solar easily outcompetes nuclear, because there are a lot of risks. Ultimately, the point is that even if you are 99.999% safe, you can still have these black swan events that will just fucking be devastating. And that simply is unaffordable. We really can't do that. Now, I do think we should be exploring nuclear fusion. Definitely, we should be putting money into that, because that should be a part of the future backbone of our space program. So. But yeah, so it's basically energy storage. So just to wrap up, the point is that I had this idea. He explained, he made all these points, and I'm like, listen, I'd love to have you present a better idea. Like I'd love to have you develop it with me. I don't think I got his contact information because I'd love to write a new and better idea to outcompete the old one. But essentially, I started doing that on my own, and then on the Wednesday. The following day, he wasn't there, but so I was presenting. So we basically had a writing session where we were rewriting the old idea, to end the consideration of what happened at the previous meeting. I thought it was really awesome, although most people didn't, so they left because they thought it was boring. They wanted to talk about emotions or some bullshit like that. No, I'm just joking. But anyway, so yeah, we have ideas. As people introduce new information, those ideas evolve to become new and better ideas, and these ideas compete against one another. But the point is that nuclear, I think there's too much risk, and solar, at least from what this guy said, is that it's actually uneconomical in comparison.
Yeah, I would love it if you sent a link to Agora in the chat so I could follow up on it. I looked on my own, and there's a bunch of Agora that popped up on Google. David enabled screen sharing if you did want to show us. So
well, here, let me walk you through this real quick.
Yeah, so, So
Go
I'll say this though, that my thing is the disasters at Fukushima and 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl weren't shit. Like there's been less than 200 deaths from nuclear power around the world, and it still has the least deaths per terawatt hour.
Well, the cancers don't come with little flags saying I'm a nuclear caused cancer.
Well,
So
yeah, well, this is exactly what I was saying though, is that if we don't die of old age, of one of our organs failing, we're going to die of cancer. So it's a matter of time.
well, let's have more of it. Great. Yeah, we're all going to die. Let's have more death. Yay. Bad argument.
Well, this is my thing, is that it's so Malthus isn't a prescription. He was just laying out that there's a certain dynamic. If people aren't dying from hunger or disease or war or there was a fourth one. I'm forgetting the fourth one. But if they're dying from these things, then nothing is killing them. Like people just keep living. And the thing is that we've made life so fucking cozy and easy for us. I'm not against there being plenty of natural ways of dying that we don't need to prevent as much. Radiation's one of them.
I just want to tell you that I've got to leave. I had a previous engagement.
Heron, don't. Hey, I'll try to hook up with you and have more pirate talk soon. Okay.
Whenever.
Can you make it next week, Heron?
What time? Just send me a message if it's what? Yeah. So Monday.
6:30 Thursdays. It looks like is.
Are we going to unshare the screen? Did we see what we were looking at, or?
Well, just keep me informed on what's coming up, and I'll
all right.
Okay, I'll talk to you more often soon, Heron. All right.
So real quick, I'll give you a quick tour. When you I'm gonna log out and log in because it has a Greek theme to it. This is based on Greek philosophy, so that's the front page of Agora. Log in and registration is very simple. When you log in, this shows you how many users there are, how many of those users are members of the International Logic Party. It shows you what the nations are of the International Logic Party. And so it's really people organizing themselves freely under the labels they choose for themselves. This is the home screen, which is where I'm building my ideological profile. These are all kinds of ideas that I support. The idea that I was a supporter that I was talking about, this is the idea about sustainable energy. Just real quick, just to show you the ideological profile. Like I said, some ideas are universal, some of them are national. It goes from 23 points down to 1. So 23 points is the most points that I can give to any idea.
And then sounds a bit Discordian.
One is the least. Sounds a little bit what?
Discordian. 23.
I don't know.
They like the number 23 for a lot of reasons.
Who? Discordian?
Yeah, Discordian. No, the fact that you use 23 and don't know what Discordian is kind of odd to me. But yeah, it's just it's like a fun. It's like it's a for fun religion that isn't really a religion. I don't know how to describe it. It's yeah, they're called Discordians. It's Hail Eris, the goddess of Discord.
Okay, that's funny. But so these are my ideas. These are the ideas that I support. This is how many points I give to them. This is how many points in total that they have. Over here in users, you can look up other users. So for example, I'm just going to put him on the spot. This is Daniel Emerson Tweed. You can read his ideas. You can see what he supports. Maybe he's got some good ideas. Maybe you want to copy them. Over here in the indexes, I actually copied some ideas from Daniel. Although I didn't know they were from Daniel. Or maybe I did, I don't know. Anyways, this is the idea dominance index. This shows you the ideas in Agora according to how many points they have from the people. So this is 59 points from 5 supporters. It's a number 1 idea. 58 points from 3 supporters. Number 2 idea. 54 points from 4 supporters, and so on. The idea that I was telling you about, keep in mind that it's easy to criticize. The whole point of this system is if you think you have a better idea, please introduce a better idea so that people can learn.
So the only thing that's screaming at me is it seems a bit boring, and I guess that's the whole point of why I don't know. I had renewed enthusiasm about these talks is because we're throwing in glamour of like I don't know, with the pirates, do we really need to uh like
The fun part is the face-to-face meetings where we hash through these and have lively discussions. So it's like
yeah,
the written part complements the Zoom part.
yeah, like so there's certain themes I'm discovering as I go. Like for one, I notice a lot of differences in opinions and ideas about what's more important or what's a good idea or a bad idea, or I like this and you don't like that, or whatever, are actually really not important. You know, like I technically have like so many extreme ideas on like population control and like anti-humanism, and like I really just don't care about so many things a lot of people consider evil or taboo, and I just think I don't, eh, it doesn't bother me.
Well,
What I notice is that one of the things that this, and it doesn't have to be online, but even in a face-to-face format, is that what's fun isn't necessarily trying to convince someone else that your idea is right or wrong or this or that, or even to say what your idea is. It's that it's fun learning to play well with others, and that the actual art of learning to get along with other people who have different ideas and not even necessarily needing to get to know them or discuss them as if they were important is actually that thing, the very activity that not only makes it rewarding and worthwhile to keep engaging in the activity, but makes you want to invite friends. You can play well, play along with well, and their friends, and that you know what I mean. That there's got to be a kind of like there's something about it being fun more important
well,
than how much good can come from it.
I'm a philosopher, and to me, sharing ideas is fun because that's how I learn. That's how I put them to the test. So I do have some ideas that I think are important, and I like sharing them. It's fun for me. For example, like I said, I don't really give a shit about that other idea that much, because frankly, maybe it would be better if, well, I think it would be better if the universe had never come into existence. But unfortunately, since we cannot destroy, collapse the universe, we're just stuck with trying to make it better. So rather than less shitty.
Uh,
So what I would say is and when you actually look at my ideological profile, you'll notice that this is my 23-point idea. This is my fundamental philosophy that so many other ideas are built on. But this is my 22-point idea, which is really the most important practical idea. So let me show this to you because I find it a lot of fun to discuss this.
I don't want. I
Uh,
don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. No.
yeah,
No.
well, I'm
No.
not saying you
No.
might not want to
No.
discuss it.
No. 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 Like. So I feel like we went in an unhealthy diversion by talking about nuclear power. I don't think. Like we can talk about it, but it's not. It's just. It's just not. Like, listen. When we take over the world, we can look down from our mountain and say, "Yeah, this one's definitely a better idea than that one. We're looking at it. We did it." You know, it's just like like I've talked to a handful of people, and like I'm sure you and I have like so many differences of opinion. I'm not trying to be rude. If anything, I'm trying to be refreshing by being honest. You know that I've noticed that the differences in opinion that I have with others have nothing to do with me being able to cooperate with them or enjoy them or get along with them. In fact, if I like, there's this guy. I've been coming to the idea, for example, and it's just an example, and I don't mean to say this as if it's an important idea worth arguing. I think I might be an anti-humanist. Like, I don't think I'm a misanthrope. I don't think I just hate mankind, but I don't like humanism, and I don't like most people who hold humanist ideas. And so the thing is there's this guy that I talk to. There's a handful of guys that I talk to. They're humanists, and the thing is, if we talk about how I think humanism's wrong, and that anti-humanism is a better way of looking at humanism, we don't get anywhere. But I like these guys, and they're fun to talk to. So we don't even need to talk about that. We already overlap in so many ways that we can just work with where we get along. And so I feel like there's something about this. I don't know if you want to call it like absurd or like playful, but like fuck it. Like, why are we gonna talk about important stuff? It's detracting from the important stuff. You know, like I take really seriously that like okay, I don't think there's something wrong with life. You know, I think it's working the way I don't know, not supposed to, but you know what I mean? Like, this is life, and like, I like it, and I love it, and yeah, I want some more of it. Sorry, it was fucking. It was set up by the timing, but no, and I can get more out of it. There's something that there's something missing. I can do something about, and what's missing? That magic, that play element, like not even like supernatural magic, but like more like poetry. Like, this is why I'm saying, like, Napoleon, he was a
Are
fucking.
you a fucking poet?
You what?
Are you a poet?
I'm probably more that than a philosopher. Like, I've got to admit to myself, like, in this
Oh
question.
shit. I'm talking to the wrong person.
No, well, the thing is I'm philosophical. It's just, what's the point if we're not going to turn this idea into a fucking flag and, like, you know, take over a territory and say, like, yeah, we fucking did it. Like, then I don't know. You just
Well,
want
that's
to
pretty fucking dumb.
Well, I don't know. Some people say juvenile. Some people say, like, are you serious? You know, but
Well, I would just comment that, I studied online to become a certified fitness trainer. And the first thing they teach you is that people will not follow the fitness workout program if it's not fun. Okay. You can have the best, most worked out program, makes all sense, but it's not fun, forget it. They're just going to slack off and not do it.
Um, and that's the purpose of these T-shirts. I've come to the realization that most people are just too unintellectual to actually come and deliberate with other philosophers about how to solve our society's problems. But at least they can wear our fucking T-shirts.
Well, see, that's just it. A bunch of people talking about solving society's problems isn't solving society's problems. Like, if you look at who's done stuff, right? Who are the world changers? Most of them didn't spend time arguing. They said, fuck it. This is the best idea. I got enough guys on board. We're gonna do this shit. Y'all get on board or, like, miss out, So
they weren't really trying to solve society's problems. I mean, there are innovators who just simply create something new and then it creates a whole new paradigm. There are just people who do the things for their own profit. They don't give a shit what effect it has on the world.
Well, arguably,
that's usually how people change the world, is that they're not, and the people who are trying to unfuck the world, they can't tolerate democracy, so anyone who disagrees with them, they push them out.
And well, I mean, I'm really good with people disagreeing with me. I'm really good at just being accused of whatever is the opposite of what someone is, just because I think for myself. Now, listen, I do think I like smart people, but I empathize and sympathize very deeply with Napoleon when he said, you don't reason with intellectuals, you shoot them. So like, the thing is that
well, Napoleon was a fucking narcissistic fucking sociopath, right? So
yeah. Well, anyone who arguably rallies up people and accomplishes stuff is a narcissist and appeals to narcissism. And I would say, why would you do something if it doesn't make you have a good feeling of self-esteem? So, like, I mean, I would argue one of the things I'm trying to accomplish is taking myself more seriously. But in addition to that, I don't know. I want to find friends that are worth fighting for on their side. And, not just like that includes fighting with them, as in, like, against them. That's why I like this, like, dojo model of, like, look, let's say this is just a loose idea we've been playing with for a few weeks, me and the guys that you've met already and a few others that didn't participate, right? There's a kind of intellectual sparring going on right here, and it's kind of dojo. It's, oh yeah, well, this is me and my style, right? And this is you and your style, and you know what? Touche. Like, I see your point there, and like, I'll really think about this and that. And so when we're not busy fighting each other to establish where we stand in each other's eyes and what role we can fill to each other, then we have the luxury of fighting for each other, with each other, in that respect. So that's why I kind of like the glamour of the pirate crew that we were talking about earlier, is that there's got to be a little bit of combative, like, what's the point of this? Like, I don't know, Did I mishear you? Did you call me dumb already? Like that, you know, like it means we're really getting to know each other. You know, you really get, if you can disagree with me and what I'm talking about, well, that means you at least fucking understand, and we've got to start. We're getting somewhere, you know? So,
And you know what's going to be fun is you tell some kid, hey, kid, guess what? You're in a drainage basin. That's a pirate ship. And there's hundreds of them around the world. And we're going to see which one can become a space city first.
Well, you kids play your little pirate game. I need to start cooking some fried rice. So I'm gonna mute myself.
well, you muted it already. Well, I was gonna say, one thing about it is if it's worthwhile to do, I think it's something that kids will remember for the rest of their lives and have legends about. So
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to tell a kid? Well, there's this government system, but it's all sewed up with rich assholes, and you really can't play unless you're a rich asshole too. No, you know what? You have a lot more power than you think. There's soft power. Every time you buy something, every time you make a deal with someone, that's soft power instead of like hard power, which is based on, a monopoly of military force over a limited geographic area. Guess what? You have a monopoly of individual choice over your whole body and all your friends to a degree, and that's empowering and that's fun.
yeah. Well, although I play with all kinds of radical, weird, evil ideas and I throw them out, there's one thing I like to get at, which of course leads into the possibility of like forceful power, like violent power, but that's not where I'm necessarily trying to go. But coordinated action, right? Like to give you an example, there's the Occupy movement in town, right? They were occupying, fucking a decade ago. They were occupying the city hall, the front of it. And the thing is they'd been there for a week already, and the city cleaners came by, and they just wanted to spray down. They do a power wash once a week on all the streets, and they've been postponing it for a couple of days already. And so, all that it required was everyone to just get up and move across the street for about 2 hours, and there was a nice park across the street too. It was actually more pleasant across the street. And then when they were done, they could all just move back. And the thing is they said, "Oh no, y'all are fucking fascist pigs, yada yada rah rah." Like 48 people got arrested, and yeah, they said, "Oh, they let them all out the next day. No charges were pressed or whatever." But the thing is all of them were saying, "Oh, fuck leaders. We don't need leaders. Like, who are you with your fucking good ideas and your silky smooth voice or
Well,
whatever?"
did anyone like stand up and say, look, we got a deal for you, we got this power washer, and you can just come right back when we're done power washing and everything will be fine? No one probably articulated that. They just instantly saw this is like an evil oppositional thing I have to protest against.
Yeah. Well, I just look at it like this from the cop's perspective, or like my cop friends' perspectives that I know and how they would react to this. If they were there and they had to facilitate this stuff, if one person, say me, in my wet dreams, right, were to stand up out of the crowd and say, "All right, guys, this is what we've been training for. Are all of y'all ready? In formation, right?" Everyone gets in their fucking block, with discipline and focus, and if there's an intimidation factor going on here, where then you say, "All right, the other side of the street," and everyone in a nice orderly single file line. That to me would send much more of an impressive image to, not just in the "you should be afraid of us because look, we can follow orders," right? But look at how well ordered we are. Look at how much you don't yeah, that there's a mind behind all of this stuff, and it's not just chaos. It's not just sloppy people with a hodgepodge of ideas getting together. So I don't know. I hope I didn't put him off, but I'm not gonna lie. I didn't want to. I'll look at that website later on, but it just, I don't know. I'm warming up to the possibility that philosophy venues where people are looking for intellectual conversation might not be the best for poetic, enthusiasm inspiring rhetoric, you know, like let's do something, let's come together. Hey, by next month, bring 3 more people, you know, like let's tell Heron, you know, bring 3 more people, and then you'll make your quota for your share of the pirate booty, you know.
There used to be this thing. You ever heard of the Cacophony Society? They would like do these, find these really obscure, you know, walking tours to go, you know, descend on once a week or once a month or something. But it was, and they're kind of like Dadaist, you know, kind of surrealist inspired too. But you know, like they might all dress the same and sit down in an airport or to do something weird. I don't know. Just they come up with some weird, you know, performance art almost kind of thing. You know.
Yeah, well, the Cacophony Society came out of the Suicide Club, and that's where Burning Man came out
Hmm.
of.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's
So,
very
so
Burning Man.
they're all the same people. I think even Chuck Palahniuk was a member of the Cacophony Society. So yeah,
Hmm.
no,
Yeah,
no,
so that's kind of like the pirate party, you know, mentality, you know, or like this pirate fight club idea or whatever, you know, the kind of thing. But you know, romantic people of fun action, you know.
yeah, yeah, no. Well, so I want there to, I don't know. I keep imagining something along the lines of a mix between the seriousness of Nazism and the fun and playfulness of Discordianism. You
Yeah,
know, like
would make a fun film at least. Like I like that idea. Like, what if Hitler had made friends with the Jews instead of, you know, declaring them, you know, the the Holocaust on them. You know what I'm
no,
saying?
well,
Hey, you
it's
know what?
true.
I'm part Jewish. These Jews are really funny and smart. You know,
No, well,
we can
it's
have a good
true.
time.
It's true. There's multiple accounts of Jewish people saying, you know, I saw them marching down the streets. I saw them getting lots of press and, you know, getting the government in order, and I was rooting for them. And then I found out they didn't like the Jews. So then, you know, no, a lot of people didn't know what his master plan was up to, because he came out first and was attacking commies. Then he went after the Jews. Commies were his biggest first priority. Once he kicked the commies out of government, once he made it thoroughly National Socialist, then he said, "All right, let's go after the real enemy."
Well, they were hammering the disabled and the gypsies and the queers pretty hard too. I mean, you know,
Yeah, no, just their
pretty.
favorites were commies and Jews. They
Yeah,
yeah, all the misfits that didn't fit into their nice scheme of things. See, that's just it. I mean,
because
there
the state is more important than the individual. You know, that's the motivating principle, is that you got to think about the collective before the individual, and everything has to have that as a, you know, motivating principle.
yeah, well, there's a balance to that
Yeah, I think
too.
they can coexist. I think individualism and collectivism don't have to be, you know, fatally, mortally opposed to each other.
Yeah. Well, it's just I don't know. I don't want to constantly be going to David and him say Godspeed and have fun with that. You know, I
No,
uh
no, he was just, I think, saying that it's all about money, and if you can't uh, engage the all about money people, it's just going to be flapping in the wind. You know,
oh, yeah.
maybe I'm misstating his position.
No, well, just part of me thinks it's easier than a lot of people make it out to be. Just no one wants to risk themselves. There's the risk of being misunderstood, you know. There's the risk of not being taken seriously, you know. And then there's also, let's say it actually takes off, right? Let's say there's some success in this. I think a lot of people are scared of being burned at the stake, being disappeared, being one of those, you know, like, fuck it. If you're really gonna make changes in the world, like, yeah, I was gonna die anyways. Life is short. Like, if I could spend my life, you know, would I rather die old and decrepit in an old folks' home, or, you know, in the next 10 to 15 years, because in a public torturous display, because I was fucking moving rocks, or moving stuff around, you know, shaking trees, and, you know, seeing what fell out of them. So I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, we are pretty close to the burning times. I mean, you got, you know, all these Trumpists that are saying everyone that's on the other side is a demonic communist, and you know, this is
Yeah,
about like
yeah.
saving saving what's left of godly Americanism. And otherwise, which side are you on? You know.
Yeah, well, I guess like, so if I'm using this as like a practicing venue for my pitch that probably doesn't qualify as philosophy, but more like poetic propaganda or something like that. No, I kind of wish I need to get more on point in certain respects if I do want to be taken seriously. Like, for example, I think I'm speaking honestly and mentioning something important by saying I don't want to stop the oligarchs from what they're doing. If anything, if I'm being serious about being some kind of worldwide organizer, I'm not going to say like, oh, fuck the people in government or fuck the people who are controlling the tech organizations or whatever. Like, if anything, like, hey, Zuckerberg, if you're spying on this with your algorithms and whatnot, like, I plan on making you high up in my nobility, you know, some form of duke, you know, like, if we can if we can if we can join forces and you know, tolerate each other's goals, like, no, I think I can streamline and optimize some of his censorship tactics and some of his you know what I mean, singling out tactics. Like, no, lots of good stuff can happen with this.
Well, I mean, if you've read like John Perkins' Confessions of an Economic Hitman, that's how they work. They make you this really sweet deal and say, look, you can be, you know, like really set up, or we can kill you, you know, take your choice. I mean, yeah, they might try to buy you out and say, hey, here's a nice shelter with the underground elite people. When the disaster comes, you can survive with us.
Yeah, well, so like I play with a lot of conspiracy theorists and stuff, theories and whatnot. So like one of my favorites is like 9/11 because I like to keep an open jury out on that. I like playing along with the official story and say, no, it just a lot of things look like they could have gone that way. But I'll play devil's advocate and talk about how it could have been an inside job anyways, even though I buy the official story because I don't want to get black bagged, you know? Like what I might one day, if I succeed at these things, be friends with the Cheney Bush dynasty. And I would like to be good friends with them and say, yeah, I talked a lot to a lot of people about how you might have been behind it and what your shares were. That would be great fucking talk to have. Kick back a fucking beer on one of his ranches somewhere. Anyways, so the thing is if it were an inside job, people say, oh, how would they coordinate all these different people, all these things? They don't have to. There's enough people out there that have their own fucking ambitious attempts to take down the man in this way or another. All they have to do is say, here's one of the people who's plotting against us that actually has like a somewhat workable plan. Let's just turn a blind eye and not stop them. You know, you don't need to do it yourself. That's why there's not a horribly big paper trail to cover up. Really, you just have to know people want your blood. Who's one that's got a viable plan and one that we can get away with looking like we didn't fucking help them do it. We just, oh, that day, yeah, we had this Air Force drill going on, so normal security plans weren't in place that day, and like just the luck was right. We look negligent when, you know, it's kind of so the thing is
yeah, all they need is plausible deniability. You know,
yeah.
they just gotta, just like the COVID pandemic. Well, you know, it might have escaped from a gain of function research lab, or it might have jumped species from a bat or something, or what's a civet cat, or weird animals.
Yeah, so
You know,
so that's
and it's like the people that question JFK, well, you know what, their career stopped advancing. People that question 9/11, well, you know what, guess what, their career didn't go anywhere after that. I mean, they have, and this stuff, you can make a list of the false flags, Gulf of Tonkin, Pearl Harbor, the sinking of the Lusitania, I mean, and it's all stuff that if it was engineered, they felt they were doing it for good reasons. Like, oh man, we got to like wake the people up and, rattle their cage so they get off the stick and fight these bad guys. I'm sure they had good reasons for all these exotic, covert,
expediency. Expediency is the word. If the theory that every war America's gotten into was a false flag start, the reason, and arguably the reason behind any war that wasn't a false flag, expediency. It was convenient that way. We're not supposed to preemptively attack someone, but yeah, we've done it. And it was the
Well, and then
expedient.
also you look at who benefited. I mean, oh my God, didn't the arms manufacturers enrich themselves by, multiples of 10,
Yeah,
times
yeah.
over?
No, if you look at who had a share in Dynacore, the private military, and if you look at the oil companies, Halliburton, Cheney and Bush seem to, whether whether they did it or not, they seem to have done good by it after the fact. So, but here's the thing: I don't want to be one of those guys that's trying to overtake those things, right? If I pop up on these people's radar, I want them to think the same way people sponsored Hitler. I don't want to be Hitler with exactly his programs, I think I'm worse than Hitler in some respects because I'm not racist. I'm not as picky about these people or that people. So I'm not as ideological or territorially based in my thinking. I just want to build an in group and I want to take over the world with it. I don't necessarily want to kill everyone else who isn't part of the in group, but yeah, I'm willing to if
You're
that's
a
what it
wild
takes.
card. You're unpredictable. You're a wild card. I
No,
mean,
and you need that in a good leader, right? If I'm gonna be the collective decision making representative when it comes to times of brinkmanship with someone else, yeah, they should be wondering whether or not I'm gonna pull out of playing chicken first. You know, like that's what you want out of like a good pirate ship captain.
hey, you know what? And free people respect that kind of unpredictable, fun, crazy attitude too. That's worth a lot of.
Well, what's great about it
leadership
is
career.
that I think I'm being honest, right? I think that's the great thing about it. I mean, yeah, I have thought it out and it might be feasible, but I think the most important thing is I'm being honest, which means, I mean, that's why I feel like it's important for me to talk about demoralizing or devaluizing like evil.
Decommodification, maybe. Was
Well, like you hear me talking about evil stuff, the taboos, right? Like if you bring up any specific issue, I can talk about this historic precedent where they thought it was a good thing, or at least not a bad thing, regardless of how fucked up most people these days might think it is, you know. And one of the reasons I do that, first off, is to say, listen, you, right? You personally, but also you, whoever, right? Whatever you do, you might think is bad or evil or think that someone else might not agree with, I give you permission to. You know what? If you felt close enough to me and you wanted to confess the darkest parts of your soul to me, I could forgive you. I could really listen and hear the evil in it, even if it's real evil. Even if I might say, okay, listen, I love you and I forgive you for this. Do you feel better now? Like I might not want to keep my kids around you anymore or as often, but no, I can provide that to someone to the extent that say the Catholic Church couldn't, you know, like like I don't have a hell. But the flip side of this though is that if I'm going to do this for everyone and say, well, listen, man, listen, if we're really talking about being tolerant, right, and like making a new big worldwide community or whatever, well, like okay, these people you're talking about being evil and intolerant over here, like okay, the Nazis, for example. There are a handful of neo-Nazis out there, right? As far as I know, they listen to a couple channels. I think one's called like The Storm. But I know there's a guy, Richard Spencer and Jared Taylor, that are really charismatic to them. So I listen to what they listen to and I sympathize with them. Why? Because most of the people who say, oh, these intolerant fascists and whatnot, are you going to round them all up and kill them? Well, if not, if you're not going to kill these people this group over here says are evil, well then let's at least talk to them. And they're not going to take you seriously if you just keep saying, oh, well, you're full of shit, you've been told lies all the time. No, you're going to have to listen to the lies they take as truth and say, I didn't know you really believed that. Is that true? Like, oh my God, I'd never heard propaganda like this before. Hey, wait a minute. So the thing is in one sense, it's useful to me as like a leverage point to say, listen, not just you and your evil, but them and their evil. I'm also going to accept them too. So if you can play nice with me and I can get them to play nice with me, well, then that's good enough. Play nice with each other. And here's the thing, to take it one step further, whether it's these people or those people, regardless of their differences in evil, most of them tend to agree, well, the people in power and their evil are keeping us all down. You know, I think I've got my right way of how they should do things, and they think they've got their right way of how the people in charge should do things, but the people in charge are fucking evil. And that's
So
where I
is it
come.
like you can respect the fact that they've made some kind of peace with their shadow side more than the people who haven't, and that's like worthy of kind of respect. You know, if you're being, hey, you know, look, I admit it. Here's my shadow side. At least I'm putting it out there. I'm trying to like, you know, integrate it somehow, or you know, deal with it somehow.
Uh, if you're, I mean, that's a great question because that is one way I'm talking about this. Um,
It seems to me like that's what you're giving them respect for doing a little bit. You know, that they're not like suppressing their dark side. You know, they're like saying, hey, here it is, deal with it.
Here's the thing. I think most people aren't integrated with their dark side. I think some people are willing to be called evil by someone they consider their enemy and say, "Ah, fuck it," you know, like I don't like you anyway, so I don't care if you call me evil.
Yeah,
But
that's my enemy. So what do I care what he calls me?
yeah, so whatever you're saying is evil about me that I didn't necessarily identify with, you know, if you accidentally call me racist when really I'm not racist, I'm just an authoritarian, right? Or something like that, right? If you confuse me with the other kinds of authoritarians, well, fuck it. Well, then I guess I will let the part of me that doesn't mind being racist out, right? So, like, if you're going to call me racist, well, then fuck it. I might as well just not. Why should I try hard to act otherwise if you're going to call me that anyways? You
Well,
know
at
what I
least you're trying
mean?
to be a fun authoritarian, right?
Well, that's the hope, you know. Fun for all and
The
all for
attempt.
fun.
Yeah.
Well, personally, I don't think most people are integrated with their shadow, whether it's the left or the right
Right.
or the top. You know, I feel like everyone in those categories gets accused of being evil, and so to a certain extent, they just say, "Ah, well, fuck it. If I'm gonna get accused of this, I do it anyways, or I might as well do it if I don't do it if I'm being falsely accused of it." So in some way, an accusation of evil is like permission from your enemies to go full on out. Well, if you know what, fuck it. If you're my enemy and I don't care what you think, I might as well double down on this shit that probably wasn't that important to me. But now I know it bothers you and I don't like you, so I'll just fucking, yeah, screw those people or whatever, right? I guess the last part I was trying to triangulate was that the people on top also have a shadow, and most of them, just like most other people, aren't integrated with that either. And the thing is like a lot of them need, like they have services, wealth counselors that teach them economic principles that say no, 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 regardless of people saying eat the rich and protesting on your front lawn, like really you're doing a kind of indirect altruism. You know, your wealth is helping them. If you weren't, you know what I mean? And there's all kinds of capitalist economic fucking propaganda that's there to soothe the consciences of people who really are only as rich as they are through means that are arguably bloodthirsty or devastated a lot of people's lives and livelihoods in order
What do you
to.
mean by wealth counseling is indirect altruism? I kind of I need to like
Yeah,
unpack
like
that.
so I'm sure a lot of rich people went to college and got economics degrees, you know, but a lot of economics, like in the Austrian school, in the Chicago school, a lot of it is saying how individual, selfish, rational self-interest, even though it seems egoistic, like the way Ayn Rand would say, be an egoist. Although it seems like you're being egoistic on your own level, really, you're being a pioneer of industry and you're raising the water for everyone. You know, all ships are raised in a rising tide. So it's a way of saying, yeah, you're a ruthless, selfish, cold-hearted son of a bitch and a captain of industry, but you're making things better for everyone else. So don't just listen to the lies of the commies and the union strikers outside the gates saying, "Oh, you fucking you capitalist pig" or whatever. Like, know that you really are doing good indirectly. Because
I think if you're role modeling egoism, you're helping other people to become more captain of industry type people. Maybe, and that's
yeah,
gonna.
well, that's exactly what Ayn Rand does. That's exactly what Ludwig von Mises and Friedrich A. Hayek, you know, and Murray Rothbard and there's a bunch of economists. If you listen to what they're saying, that's what they're saying. You do what's good for you. Don't care about others and trying to take care of others. And you, by taking care of yourself, are stirring the pot of industry, and that things are becoming better because you're working hard to do that. Look after yourself, because when you start just giving money away to people who didn't work for it or earn it, you're not spending the money on yourself as a hardworking person, and yada yada yada. They have so many ideological machinations, which, don't get me wrong, I'm sure to some extent are true. To some degree, some of the principles are true, but it goes the same with like Marxist economics. Marxist economics is propaganda for the Marxist communist point of view. So yeah, the things they're going to say are going to do nothing but make the capitalist, landowning, bourgeoisie, entrepreneur class look bad. These are just selfish people that are playing a numerical domination game that hire you for pay that isn't enough to buy the stuff that you're making, that they couldn't make without you. So you're an indispensable part of this process, but you can't afford the products of it. Yeah, you're being fucked, because the guy upstairs, he can buy and sell you over 10 times, and the cars that you can't afford. Is that right? And that's what the whole argument is. So,
weren't you saying that the whole class system of Marx was really about mental classism, primarily, more than economic? Like, it's like you've got this false dichotomy in your head of, slave and ruler, that's like keeping you mentally subjugated, out of the gate.
I don't think that's fake. I think we're built as monkeys to refer to our fellow monkeys as some form of superior or inferior or equal.
Isn't that like your brain is lazy, you can't trust it? I mean, it's a good.
I think our brain is lazy, and I think most of the time we have to trust it, but con men do use it to our disadvantage. But
Yeah.
It's only if you've been hurt by con men that you have the wherewithal to prepare yourself for those exceptional situations. Most of the time, for the most part, your boss at work is someone that you shouldn't be as honest and freely open with as your coworkers who don't have authority over your job. There really is a kind of master-slave dynamic going on there.
So that's why we need to create these external, brain systems that can like keep our, lazy brains, more working on track for us, our own well-being.
Well, my thing is I think we should do ones explicitly to meet the needs that aren't being met by con men or bosses that don't care about us. Like, I feel like our brains evolved to deal with an alpha, a hierarchy of, those are the stronger coalition
Right.
of chimps among us.
We're kind of pack animals, pretty clear. We have a lot of pack animal instincts, even as humans.
Yeah. Well, in nature, those alphas and his betas and that coalition of the stronger, ruthless males or whatever, we're our friends still. They still cared about us, even if we're lower on the totem pole than them. The thing is because we're all part of the same social organism as a pack of the same monkeys, of the same tribe of monkeys. The problem is with work, that guy doesn't care about you the way the alpha we evolved to look at as our superior cares about us. He says, if you don't do your job well enough, I'm going to replace you. Some bosses are nicer than others, and they do try to be your friends, and they do care about you. And some would argue those usually aren't the best bosses, because they can't say no or tell you to do what needs to get done to get the job done. So
aren't you kind of position yourself as like the opposite of a con man for the public somehow?
I would think so, but that's tricky. That's tricky, because communication is a creative act, right? Being honest is learning how to paint a more accurate picture with your words than not. Some people are more skilled at painting pictures with words or than others. So, depending on how little skilled someone is, they leave out certain critical information. So the thing is if I'm trying to be a master of words and the magic that we evolved them to do for us, right? it basically means I'm telling you I'm a trickster. I know how to use the words. I know how they play tricks on our minds. Like I would argue Heron's one of these too. Like he's an honest trickster. He'll tell you we're talking stories constantly. They're all lies, but they're useful lies. Some of them are more accurate and effective stories than others. So, yeah, I am being honest and open and vulnerable in many respects. Like it's hard for me to be a con man if I'm telling you I'm using my lies as honestly as I can to fulfill our needs as, you know, successfully as possible, you know. So
I
yeah.
like that, honest trickster. Yeah, and I do see Heron as I think you would identify with that a little bit.
Yeah, well that's why I love
I'll
him.
be right back. I'm listening.
No, well that's why I think he's lovable, because you can give him shit because he's just talking about his story that he keeps belittling to help him maintain some kind of sanity or whatever. It's what I guess he would call it his useful story for now that hasn't been replaced. But oh hey, there y'all are. I see y'all again. Hey guys. Yeah, so no, you're like a trickster crossing certain boundaries by saying, yeah, we're all guilty of self-deception and deceiving others, but some are more honest than others. Some are more to the point. Some are more effective lies than others. So yeah, I definitely want to deprive myself of opportunities to be a con man in that respect, if that's what you're asking. I'm trying to openly say, yeah, let's play a role playing game. It's creative, it's open to input and influence. It doesn't have to be this way or that. I'm just making this shit up. So, being honest about it on that level, saying, hey, if government's just a role playing game, if this judge sitting in robes a few feet higher than us on the other side of this gate, if all of his authority really just comes from the fact that he's wearing a funny costume and that the role we're all playing and we've been indoctrinated with, it's just a big role playing game. But there's a guy in the courtroom with a gun who's also just as seriously playing that role playing game, who's willing to back up that game over any distracting other games. You know, we call him the bailiff or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, as long as you're not lying to yourself and saying the ideology that we're living by or the role-playing game that we're playing by is absolute truth, yeah, then it's okay for us to say, fuck it, I've got a gun, you know, I'm going to defend myself. Y'all are fun to play with. I'm going to defend y'all against it, against harm if I've got the option to. Of course, in real life, I actually don't have a gun. I'm just saying that for example, right? I'm a pro-gun technically kind of guy, but I don't own one. I'm just saying I've got that mentality of being an enforcer where, no, I'm just trying to say we're playing a game over here. You haven't been jumped into the gang that plays this game. So like until you pay the cover charge or until you pay your dues or until we vetted you out, like we're just not going to play that game with you for now. So yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, it'd be like more fun to hang out with the honest con man than just a straight up con man. I don't think, you know.
yeah, well, you know,
Yeah, that's an oversimplification, I know, but you know,
no, well, like I already said, yeah, I think it's a worthwhile dream to say membership fees or cover charges, you know, eventually. But I'm also throwing out there saying we should hold an election between everyone who is paying membership fees, right? Who's going to get the first paycheck from this? You know, just because I talk a lot of shit, honestly, more of y'all are situated in California. I feel like it would be easier for someone over there in California to get the first paycheck and me just be like, hey, you know, whenever I get enough friends over here that want to play the same game, I want some money too. So you know what I mean? I haven't asked for your
well,
bank.
I can get a $50 finder's fee for every cryonic suspension patient I recruit. You want to have yourself, you know, encapsulated in a liquid nitrogen dewar in the hopes of future revival.
I hear that doesn't work. I don't trust them.
It hasn't been fixed. It's going to take mature nanotechnology to repair the freezing damage.
Yeah. I just rather I don't want to live forever. I want to spend my life. I don't want to hold on to it until it's pulled away from me. You know.
Yeah, but would you, like, you know, if you saw a UFO with the keys in it idling, would you jump inside?
Okay, David. I guess we're boring. Whatever.
This is-
So that's okay. I'm probably gonna take a break over the next few days anyway, so I might not see you until like maybe next week or something. If you're still doing all the open forum stuff, I don't know. I just imagine you're I'm losing you. You don't
Hey,
want.
David, I have a question.
David's got a good sense of when things are going down the drain.
David, you are one of the co-organizers of, what was it? Was it the Vancouver philosophy meetup or something? Where you presented? Aren't you? I think it's somewhere in Canada. I don't remember. There's like a philosophy meetup. I think you are.
No. No.
Really? I thought there was like a major meetup group where you do events. But in Canada. I thought I saw you. No?
No.
Okay.
A lot of us are members of a lot of the different meetup groups. He might have just been at one or something.
No, I thought he was hosting one. I thought you were actually hosting an event.
I didn't see any in Vancouver, but I don't want to spoil all of the ones that he hosts or organizes or whatever. So
Maybe it's a secret and I wasn't supposed to say that.
yeah, I probably already said too much already. He's gonna make me walk the plank, even though he doesn't want to be a part of the pirate group.
It might involve poetry. I don't know. A lot of Kenneth Smith gets criticized, like, this guy's writing poetry. He's not writing philosophy. But it's so dense. It seems like poetry a lot of the time.
I don't know. I'm trying to get what direction he's going in out of it. For the most part, I haven't read all of his stuff, so this is a limited view. I feel like he's saying you got to get out of your mind if you're going to be just something more than just an idiot that doesn't take things for granted. If you're going to think for yourself, you need to get out of your own mind. Try to get into someone else's worldview. And I think he gets into saying ancient Greek worldview. Look into that worldview. And starts, I don't know, talks a lot about the Aristos. I haven't gotten too far into it. I think a lot of it has to do with kind of like an aristocracy of wise folk based on like the original meaning of the word Aristos. But
I put this quote in the chat. There is no true understanding without values, and no values without love. I mean, that's a pretty distilled take on, asking yourself whether philosophy is revelatory or not.
Well, the thing I think of when it comes to ancient Greek civilization and what the use of it is to me, what I hear out of Aristos is the same thing I hear. I got it from Homo Ludens by Johann Huizinga, where he talks about the agon. The agon was like the unit of social, cultural interaction in ancient Greece. It was a contest. It was like in politics, in art, in sports. The Olympics is like the epitome of what an agon is. Like it's another way of saying like dojo. If you think you're a great poet, well, get out there when they're having poetry slam night, and go up against the other poets and see who gets more roses thrown at them after they're done. See who gets the loudest applause. Like it's a competition. Like, yeah, he's the best fucking poet in town. Everyone knows it. Every time he gets out there and sings, the whole crowd just fucking applauds him. It's the same with politics. That's what the democratic system was like exemplifying, was the agonism or whatever, or the agon system, which was, oh yeah, you've got something to say, you're challenging the way things are, well, I'm going to get up and say it in front of everyone. Who here challenges what I have to say? Oh yeah, well, now we've got a debate, and so like most of what we talk about as the best of Western civilization comes from what I call the agon, which I think is what I get the feeling that's what Kenneth Smith is alluding to in the Aristos talks. But I need to give him a lot more reading. I feel like I'm speaking out of turn and I'm being really superficial in my assessments. So
Yeah, I think a lot of people dismiss his work superficially or perfunctorily. But there's another term in like EMT. Someone can look like they're breathing, but it's what's called an agonic respiration. Like it's just they're actually dead, but their body is like making it appear that they're breathing. So there's that's something that emergency responders have to deal with when they're assessing someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you look up the definition of agon, it just kind of comes conflict, struggle, but I think it's got a deeper, it's like a currency of intense experience or something.
Yeah, well, I think it's called agonism or whatever. I mean, it's the word that we get agony from. It means strife. It comes from like a competition, agony. But it's also like where we get protagonist, or antagonist. Who's the first guy, who's the anti guy. Yeah. Yeah, the Wikipedia on agonism. It says that there's a handful of philosophers that were like big on it or whatever. Yeah, theory of agonism. Well, I guess they're political philosophers, and they're ones that I've read, like Carl Schmitt and Nietzsche and Arendt and what is it, Johann Huizinga. I guess these are all people. There's a couple other names that aren't guys I'm the most familiar with, like Hegel. It's talking about agonism. So, yeah, if you don't have the page up already, I'm about to load up another link to Zoom. But so.
Yeah, no, that would be a good thing to delve into. I think it's relevant to what you're trying to do.
Well, that's what I mean behind Wizard Dojo. It's what I mean behind, throwing in pirate just makes it sound a little bit more like, like I like the term nest of pirates, like for like a pirate den, like there's some kind of wild creatures with like teeth and fangs. So it's like fun, it's there's danger to it. Like,
yeah, you got skin in the game. This isn't just some intellectual exercise.
Yeah, and I guess that's where fuck, I didn't mean to belittle what Cesare was up to, but like I guess that's exactly what I was criticizing about it, was that it just doesn't seem as fun as say like, no, we're hashing it out. I want to argue about this with you, even if I'm not talking about this specific issue or that specific issue. If anything, I'm trying to, like, if I'm trying to tease out a theme of just watching how I've been talking spontaneously, trying to make fun out of the direction I've been going in, I would feel like the point I'm trying to keep people on is that we shouldn't be agreeing with each other, and we shouldn't necessarily be trying to agree or keep everyone or to convince someone else to change and to come to our frame of mind. Like, already the strength is in the fact that we have an arena to duke it out in, and that I really liked that when I stepped in, you and Heron were already on board, and that we did get a chance to, that Paul Budney guy, really say, oh, well, fuck all y'all. Honestly, I think that's probably some of the best fun that he's had in a while. I really do. Like, and if it were in person, from my experience, from like my bouncer experience, if that would have led to like a fist fight, God, that would have been a great night. That would have been a great night. It would be something to talk about over drinks later. Be like, yeah. And you know what? Next time we bump into him, after, we might scrap with him again, but this time we'll try to pick him up afterwards and say, hey, have drinks with us. Like, that was fun. Like, do that. Let's do this again. So like, yeah.
I mean, the lead up was great. You're an asshole. You're a sack of shit. Well, the difference is I'm smiling and you're not.
Oh, you're an asshole. Well, so the way that I kind of invoke a lot of like taboo glamours out there, like I've talked about BDSM like a little bit, and I can get more specifics in this scenario or that scenario, right? But I guess one way of applying that to like what I'm talking about here is, so I was saying pirate sounds fun because it's got like a little bit of like a tasty, juicy glamour to it, like, ooh, treasure, adventure, right? But then also like it's got danger to it. It's walk the plank, like fucking there's swords and eye patches and peg legs. Like, bad things happen to pirates, So
but if you read like that little thing, the HistoryNet article about the 5 ways pirates are like democracy, I mean, I didn't know they had a healthcare system. You know, you get your arm chopped off, that's worth like 8 doubloons. You know, your leg gets hacked off, you're gonna get like 12 doubloons. You know, I mean, it's
Yeah. No, I'll check it out because I'm into pirate stuff. You know, I told you about Pirate Utopias. I think I gave you a link to it. I think it's free online too. Most of Peter Lamborn Wilson's works are free, so I think I might even be able to find it. I'll look it up right now.
yeah. I'm sure the pirate party has gone down this path, you know, sailed down this inlet pretty heavily too. You know, the Icelandic. It's really a worldwide party, and it's really direct democracy. It's like you elect someone, they agree just to do whatever the direct democracy dictates. You know, that's
Yeah, I
how.
found a copy of it free online. I'll send it to you now if you're interested. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
not some of it's boring because look, the thing is he's talking about the historical context of it. He's saying the closest you could get to anarchism and rebellion and fighting for freedom and awesomeness was really through Islamic piracy. The North Barbary coast of Africa was like your opportunity. If you're sick of the, you know, smothering dogma of Christianity, if you don't want to be impressed into the Dutch or the English Navy, like when you get pulled over by pirates, a lot of them volunteered, hey, we give up. Can we join your crew? You know, and a lot of them did have to subject themselves to like a few years of like Islamic slavery, which is basically like a really strict, hardcore form of indentured servitude. You could win your freedom back from it. So that basically, if you pay your dues voluntarily to the pirates for a few years, you could make it as a free man and a nobleman, and a form like you fought for your own piece of land in like a real Wild West anarchic kind of. It's way better to do that than to be fucking kidnapped and be impressed on the fucking English, you know.
Oh yeah, the treatment of like regular seamen was so horrendous. The pirates had a perfect recruiting base. You know, it's like I'll do anything to get out of this crappy seaman job. I'll be a pirate for sure.
Yeah. So a handful of the book is just like a little bit of boring history, but it's just full of all kinds of quotes and anecdotes saying, listen, you think the pirates were bloodthirsty assholes and they were out there looting and pillaging? Yeah, they were. But they had some of the most egalitarian direct democratic systems with each other. Like, you know, the musicians were some of the musicians and the cooks were some of the most important people on the ship. You know, even the cabin boy, if he didn't double as the prostitute for them, you know, sometimes they would have the woman who was the the ship's woman. You know, the prostitute or whatever. Like, they were treated well. Like these were positions of honor, and there was like, yeah, like you were saying, there was social support systems behind them, even if it's just, you know, 12 to say 30 people or whatever. Some of the bigger ships may have had more, you know.
But you know, we're in this mass extinction, and if you don't need skin in the game of, you know, we're on the verge of killing the friggin' planet, let's make each watershed a pirate democracy and see what happens, you know, and say we're on a race to put a mile-wide Allison sphere in the cloud tops of Venus for each watershed. I mean, you know, we could hold 1/3 of a trillion people just in mile-wide buoyant spheres in the Venusian atmosphere, you know, and I've already announced that's the point of coupon.life. And I think there's a lot of transhumanists and pro-space people that'll jump on board with a watershed franchise plan like that.
Yeah, well, you know, this is why I don't think we should put anything off the table, you know. And it's why if we're going to talk seriously about this idea or that idea, I'm always going to throw out the most controversial ones, you know, the in-group survival versus the extinction of the out-group, you know, population control, you know, like, and other stuff too, other perverse things.
I mean, killing the biosphere is about as extreme as it gets, you know.
Yeah. And well, although since I, you know, have just gone to that dark place in me so much, I'm not saying it's the idea we should revolve around. The way that Nazis revolved around the final solution, I don't want to revolve around, I'm just hell-bent on depopulating the world to save the environment. But I feel like I'm probably the most enthusiastic advocate of that idea, or at least just playing with that idea and trying to ease others to be open to that idea. But
well, I think my idea is way more serious than yours.
What?
The biosphere is on the line. You know, there's nothing possible on a dead planet, and that's what we're on the fucking fast track toward.
Yeah. So Ivan, Ivan and me get into these intellectual conversations where I don't know if we'll ever solve it, and I don't think that's required. I think we're on board enough with each other's common aims that we don't need to work this out until the time comes that it's relevant to make a decision on it, which I don't know if it will ever happen. Like I told him, you know what, just because I talk about depopulation, population control for the sake of the environment, really, I would prefer to have 9 billion friends and followers than just half a billion, you know? But if I had to make a choice of either half a billion friends and followers over no one, because there's too many people and they're destroying the environment, I would rather choose those half a billion. And I would hope that y'all would want to be in the surviving group with me, because I'm willing to push the button in that situation. But his argument is it wouldn't be right for you to kill any single individual human being, right? Because we're not just talking about letting people die, you know, because that's one way of doing it. Like, oh, well, if we just didn't feed all these people or whatever. No, 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 no. Like, let's stop them from breathing our air and eating our food and destroying, you know, the environment that they need as a habitat, right? Because we humans need habitats, and it takes space on a planet which ecosystem could be using that space for its own purposes. So he was saying it wouldn't be right to kill any one person, or say the majority of the population of the planet, unless you had a damn near guarantee that by doing so that you would have damn near certain knowledge that that would save the environment, right? And I thought about this long and hard, and I thought, you know what, he's right. The people are the problem. Each less soul that's breathing air and eating food and destroying the habitat around it, even if they don't drive cars, even if they're just killing this animal for food, or they're starting a fire to cook it, or this or that.
Well, I mean, do you acknowledge that we're in a human-caused mass extinction? Maybe.
That's why I keep talking about this, the environmental solution is killing most of the people. But
well, I think we just have to get people to stop, killing 1,000 species a day just so they can have convenient comfort.
I think they're
It's
not
about
going
to be 50% plastic, and 5 years, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish in 5 years.
Yeah. So what are we going to do? Because the people aren't going to stop doing plastic on their own. But if the people,
Yeah. So do we kill the people that are throwing plastic in the ocean?
It's an easy solution. It's an easy solution.
Maybe that's what the pandemic is trying to do. Maybe Heron is right. Gaia is an organism, and the pandemic is Gaia's solution to, hey, these fleas are choking my oceans with plastic. I'm going to engineer a little, extinction virus on them.
Yeah, I do talk a lot, Cesare. I don't have anyone to do any actions with. Normally, I would be being a bouncer downtown, and I wouldn't be talking philosophically with people. I'd be looking at idiots that were wasting my time and waiting for an opportunity to beat one of them up. So
well, see, you got your share of fun beat up pirate action by being a bouncer.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
That's why talking is what you do for fun, right?
the bars have been closed mostly in Austin, so I haven't had the fun. So I've been having
through big time withdrawal.
Yeah, no, I've been using talking as a surrogate kind of fun, and so the best funnest thing to talk about is what I don't have the luxury of doing, which is some form of violence upon people I don't care about. So yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
So I sympathize with you, Cesare. I know I'm an asshole and an idiot in my own respects, and I'm not just trying to be no fun for you. So part of me sorry. It's just like I said, I'm gonna look at that site later on. I'll give it a thorough looking at. It's just I guess I was trying to reserve face-to-face time for not as boring stuff, because we lost Heron. Heron was getting bored. I mean, David still got his video on, but I'm pretty sure he's bored. So
no, he said he had another appointment. Right.
Yeah. So that's all. No, and it's yeah, I am. No, if I do entertain grandiose delusions, narcissistic, world-conquering megalomania or whatever, yeah, it's fun talking with others who want to make changes in the world too, because look, we're getting somewhere. You know, I was just trying to have fun, and we're talking about finally action, depopulating people. You know, really.
Pirate depopulators. I think you'd
Finally,
make a
we're
pretty
getting
good pirate
somewhere.
captain. I don't know if I'm on board with the depopulating that much, but
Well,
yeah, I
look,
could I'm open
didn't
to
I
hearing
didn't I spell out a pretty coherent like
arguments.
overpopulated? That's the problem. Like, look, you brought up the pandemic, right? Look, 57 million people a year die on average around the world, right? A million extra people, a few million extra people. It isn't shit. There's still so many more babies being born than people dying from this pandemic stuff. The pandemic's a joke. Like, since I'm technically a depopulationist, the pandemic is not doing its job very well at all. Like,
Well, the only thing historically what depopulates is wealth. It's not wars, it's not famine, it's not starvation. Wealth is the number one controller of population because rich people are too busy being entertained than fucking and
okay.
making babies.
Okay, so if I like being poetic and speaking fire and being violent and all right, I'm going to steal this from Departed. He said, I'd never worried about money ever since I stole 50 cents from little Johnny down the road. All right. That's why I'm not as focused on money as I am about the fact that we can do stuff. You know, most people don't really own anything. They're storehouses for lock pickers. All right. All you have to do is be a master thief and you own the world. All right. All you need really is a big enough sledgehammer and the world is yours. You know, so it doesn't just require money. Yeah, money's useful if you're playing soft power games, but really, you can't play the soft power game if the hard power guy's choking you to death. You know, it's like they say in the military when they do their psyops programs, they talk about, oh, we're doing a hearts and minds mission, and most of the military guys joke to each other and say, yeah, if you get them by the balls, their hearts and their minds will follow. So, yeah, I think it's important to talk about. See, this is the thing I was getting at by invoking BDSM. I was saying there's not just the appeal of the treasure and the fun that we can have from this. Part of the appeal is the stick. We need a fucking stick. You know, it sucks saying, oh, the people in power and their sticks suck. You know, if the way we're saying, like, am I a con man, right? Listen, I haven't asked you for your bank account. So far, I've said, let's try to hang out once a week at least, right? But if I'm trying to sell myself as some kind of king, there's like a better alternative to the chaos of nature and all the other people who claim leadership positions. No, I'm saying, let me be your stick. In addition to the carrots of treasure I can dangle in front of your face to get you to jump through this hoop or that hoop because it's fun being on a pirate ship. Also, the stick is fun. The stick is fun because now you're not just motivated by the carrot, you're motivated by me and my stick. You know, like I was telling Heron, throw your shirt on. You're not that ugly. Come on, get part of the game. That's a little bit of a beginning of a stick for Heron. You know, throw your shirt on. You're not that ugly. I mean, yeah, it can get a little bit more obscene the more serious and intense the situations we get into. But part of the appeal is the stick. Like, hey, we've got a stick and we can use it. And things really do happen because of a stick. Like, change is really, the stick has solved so many problems. It really has. Like, in my life personally, people that were problems that I threatened with the stick or used the stick on don't come around. And if they do, they're not nearly as problematic as they were before. You know, like, people that have changed for the better in my life did so at the risk of the stick. You know, one guy I know, he was always a cock block. He was always putting you down. And there's two kinds of cock blocks. There's the guy who's just sexier and handsomer, and yeah, he just comes along, and the women flock to him, and you say, what can you do? But then there's the kind of cock block that says, oh yeah, you're an asshole. What are you doing talking to this guy? If he has to put you down to make him look better, they're an asshole. And he did it to me enough times. I said, hey, you've done this to me enough times. You've even done it with girls I wasn't interested in. I was talking to my cousin, and you came up and you said, what are you doing talking to this asshole? If you do this to me again, I'm gonna ask you to go outside and I'm gonna whip your ass. Do you want that to happen? And he said, no, I never thought about that. And I didn't see him for a few weeks, and then I saw him again, and he said, you know what? I'm sorry. I thought about it. And you know, The only time he's one of the few times I've gotten an unsolicited apology from someone, and it was from the threat of violence. When I was here, hold on. It seems like your favorite thing is beating people up. Yeah, yeah. You're really you're really onto something, Cesare. So yeah. So
Your
like one of
second
my
favorite thing is talking about beating people up. If you want, for the people
yeah
that aren't reading chat, that was the comment from Cesare.
yeah. If we weren't doing so well in the face-to-face interactions, your text is pretty on point, buddy. So like I worked at Pete's Piano Bar, and there was a guy. His name was Corey, and he was a pussy and a pushover. He kept saying sorry too many times unnecessarily. He didn't know what he was doing. He was always hemming and hawing, and I gave him shit relentlessly. I picked him up like, come on, man, what are you doing? Like, seriously? Over there? Like, fuck, Corey, Jesus, again, like, god damn it. Like, nonstop, constantly, right? For weeks, until one day I was hovering over him being like, dude, you're fucking it up. Like, come on, like, get your shit together. He fucking said, you know what, man? I'm sick of your shit, and pushed me. All right. And I went, oh my God, there you are. Finally. All right. I'll leave you alone. Yes, sir. Like, excuse me. And you know what? You know what? He loves me for that. I taught him to push back. No one else did that for him. I bullied him into being a better person, a more assertive person, a person with better boundaries. And he even told me, listen, you're an asshole. And when I met you, I thought you were an asshole. But you kind of grow on me over time. And it's really good feeling having an asshole like you on my side. Because if no one else is willing to be an asshole when you need someone to be an asshole, at least I've got you to be an asshole. And that's exactly the service I want to provide to the world. The designated asshole.
Yeah, it sounds like you could do some kind of human potential thing with that, like some kind of like bouncer therapy or something.
You know what, Christopher? I've been doing this for a while now. I think you and I are a lot alike.
Hey, you know,
kind of look alike too.
You know, earlier I said, I don't know if I heard you right, if you called me dumb or something like that. I felt like if you did, like man, this is how we become friends. Like, so I don't know.
You know what this reminds me of? It's like if you want someone to go away, just like loan them $100. You know, they'll never be able to pay it back. And they're like, that was a great deal. I'm never going to see them again. Wow, that was cheap.
Yeah. Well, we lost Heron. Heron's fun. David's been a wet blanket about this stuff lately. He's just like, y'all are being juvenile, which
I bet he stopped the recording too.
Usually, no, he hands it off. When he hands the host over,
I would say record because you're the host now, right?
Well, he's not recording it through Zoom. He uses Restream. So it's not. I don't think I don't think it's being recorded the same.
Yeah, Zoom is kind of effed up way to record stuff. I haven't been impressed with the Zoom recording.
I recorded one conversation. It didn't. Yeah, it took too long to cobble. And plus, also, it's sad. I thought that I could have a group meeting. You can only have one-on-one with the free Zoom. So it might be worthwhile to keep hijacking David's open forums.
Well, I've got the $10 a month. So I can do like 100 people. I think probably Cesare has it too. But if this is a regular thing, what are we gonna call it? Like Philosophical Flight Club?
well, I was calling it Wizard Dojo. You know, Heron likes calling it Gendo. Ivan's okay with Dojo. You know, David calls it the Mastermind Group. But Mastermind sounds fun. Personally, I prefer Evil Genius to Mastermind.
Yeah, right.
But no, well, look. I was thinking of just Wizard Dojo, because Dojo by itself, it could be whatever kind of dojo. Wizard kind of qualifies it. We're doing something cerebral and magic, maybe, right? But then, here, I really like what you added yesterday, because we were talking about pirates. Look, Pirate Wizard Dojo.
I would call it like coupon watershed domination or something like that.
Look. When they were pitching,
I gotta jump out. I'm gonna have another meeting with another democracy guy. So
well, I'm glad you got to meet some of the folks. You know, I think might get some new recruits for your Igora there.
Christopher, I beat up people with my brain. but we have the same The same thing motivates us. I just use a different medium. That's all.
Yeah, look, so there's a handful of door guys on the street that if things were working like normal, which they're not, they would be there, that are more violent than me. One of them just loves getting in fights. Like, personally, I am a cerebral guy. As a doorman, I try to be diplomatic first until I know it's fight time. But when it's fight time, I have fun. It's fight time. But I'm way more diplomatic and verbal than that. But yeah, man.
I gotta run. We're in touch. Yeah. Here, if you're on Facebook.
Yeah, I was about to either add mine. If you add yours, I'll add you. Yeah, I am trying to make some kind of weekly. Look, it may just be shit talking for now. So I'll invite you next week if we're going to do something like this. Okay.
You'll see information about citizen assemblies. Daniel can tell you more about that. He's one of our leaders. I think,
okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
Hey, well, it was good to meet you, and I hope I wasn't too much of an asshole for you.
No, talk to you soon. Later.
All right, buddy. Take care. Yeah, he wasn't so bad.
Too.
I like that he was warming. I like that he was warming up.
Yeah, well, you're a pretty likable guy. You know, I mean, you
like
don't seem to have you don't seem like a guy that's running some hidden agenda. You're all pretty open and out front. Might just be an act, but if it is, it's a pretty damn good one.
I've laid out the biggest requests. If I were a con man, I would be aiming for. I want to take over the world, right? Like, yeah,
right. I'm like, oh, is that all? Well, why didn't you say so?
Look, I'm open to membership fees and cover charges.
Yeah.
And,
take over the world membership club.
Yeah, I'm not asking for your bank account yet. I mean, I'm not turning it down, but no. Like I was telling him,
Rolls Royces, I
don't want that many Rolls Royces.
Osho.
I don't want that many Rolls.
The Osho Dojo.
Yeah, like there's a tad bit of overlap between me and Osho. Like I think of him the same way I think of Hitler. I look at, he made changes. How did he do that? When it comes to his ideas, I disagree with him a lot. Like, I'm not trying to make a new man, I think people are good enough. That's what I have to offer. Like, we can have fun as monkeys in the zoo as we are. Like, you don't need to be a sinner, or you don't need to be like just a monkey and you need to be more than a monkey. Like, no, let's just get together and have fun. That's good enough. If we can do that, everything else is taken care of, so.
Yeah, and we don't need to convert all the brain damaged language monkeys. We can do it just going after the fun monkeys.
No, and the thing is the brain damaged ones.
Monkeys. We just need open-minded fun monkeys.
Yeah, and the thing is the brain damaged ones may not understand completely what's going on, and they may not have much useful things to contribute, but it's entertaining, and a lot of them would just want to be in the room and feel like they were a part of things, and they'd be willing to help out. They'd bring their catering dishes. You know what I mean? Like, they'll help clean up after the party. So that's why there's a place for everyone. And
yeah, same as a pirate ship. Everyone's got their skill sets and their duties, and they all get compensated accordingly.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's funny. My favorite thing is beating people up. My second thing is talking about beating people up. I don't know. I like speaking with fire. I like saying something that's challenging and provocative and invigorating. And also, I'm trying to be honest too. So that's where I think I don't know if I qualify more as being a poet or a philosopher. And I kind of don't really want to ruin it for people who would rather have boring conversations. I'd rather be one of the madmen saying, let's do something. Come on, we're doing what kind of fun trouble can we get into this weekend? Let's talk about it next week, So,
well, the thing I like about poetry is that it's a literary form where every single word has to be in place, for it to work. Short story, paragraph, okay, you might have a couple words out of place. A novel, you can have hundreds of words out of place, but when you distill it down, there's no wasted syllables in poetry. There's no wasted. It's maximum meaning, minimum syllables.
Well,
and that's what's great about it, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
I learned that from Allen Ginsberg and my novel writing teacher.
Well, I don't actually like a lot of poetry that's called poetry. Like to me, is a lot of it's boring. Like I've got I think I've got Ginsberg's Howl, and I tried reading it, and I was just like meh, meh, meh. You
A
know,
little
like
pretentious, maybe.
yeah, like to me, and you know, I'm quibbling here because I'm talking about what stirs the poetry in me, right? So like I've got a book on poetry, and it's about four poets to like enhance their style, right? And like 2/3 of the book is just meh. Like I get what he's saying, and he's doing a good job of it, and he's using all these great examples of it. And yeah, I really do like a lot of the blurbs of poetry in it because of how it makes me feel, right? But overall, the book is called Looking for Dragon Smoke. You know, the name of it, the name of the book evokes more poetry in my mind than most of the poetry in the book. You know, it's what does that sequence of words do for you? Like we're looking for dragon smoke today. Like, are you ready? You know, like you can even smell the sulfur, the brimstone, you know, you can even imagine like, ooh, we're going to come upon some treasure and some danger today. Like exciting shit's going on. Like, you know, and it's fantastic too. So,
Well, just for quick paste to the chat, what really broke poetry open from the old school, 1939, William Carlos Williams wrote, "This is just to say, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet and so cold." And then from then on, it was like, no more rhyming poetry. You know, anything goes now. It's all like, oh my God, he just like split poetry wide open. You know, like Ulysses did for literature, or Einstein did for physics. You know, it was like no, you know. And now there's a poetry mafia where you can't even get a prize for a rhyming poem anymore. You know, it's all got to sound like fucking, you know, really abstract prose or something.
yeah. Well, you know, so some of my favorite, what I consider poetry, I mean, wasn't probably written being considering itself poetry. Like one's kind of like a manifesto, and the other one's kind of like, well, Bible, or more like a work of creative writing, right? So one of my favorite books is called The Psychopath's Bible for the Extreme Individual. And I mean, there's so much technical, scientifically inspired stuff that he put in there, but and there's so much dark, cold, calculating like tips and tactics and strategies and mindsets or whatever. But really, just some of the words are so neatly put together. Like some people spew a nonsense stream of green slime syllables. You know, they think they're saying something, but it's just smelly. It's just,
Yeah.
it just stinks. You know,
I can
like
respect that style of literature.
yeah, the temporary autonomous zone is probably like kind of like a little manifesto for anarchists. You know, like more artistic, like minded anarchists. But one of my favorite phrases in that, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Like the first words of it are "chaos never died," right? Like those are the first words of the
Yeah, grabbing up in line.
but it says things like stolen watermelon tastes sweeter, you know, like stuff like that, you know. So that I think is necessary. Those are like, so I want to eventually get into like Slavoj Žižek. You know, I watched his Pervert's Guide to Ideology, and I even bought his movie Pervert's Guide to Cinema, and I want to read a couple of his books. I've got one, I'm going to read it eventually. But he talks about that when the drill sergeant is spewing profanities at the men that he's getting to march in a certain order, right? He's saying nonsense shit, but it's like he calls it a libidinal bribe. You know, there's something about talking about Eskimo pussy is mighty cold, you know, right? In Full Metal Jacket. It's so necessary for guys going through a drill, going through that's porn. That's the motivation. That's the lubricant. You got to throw in some fucking obscene poetry that stirs the juices, you know? It's like Moby Dick. Most of it was, I thought it was a beautiful story. Most of it was boring, right? One of the coolest scenes was he's talking about one of the guys in one of the whaling boats as they're going out to try to, you know, throw spears in the whales, right? The guy who's like, I forget the term for him, but he's basically screaming at the rowers. He's like, break your backs, you piece of shit little motherfuckers. Like, you can squeeze out more. You're nothing, you know? And like, he describes being on the receiving end of that, you know? Like, it was just pure joy. It was pure ecstasy.
That
being
would be a job you would like, right? You would like a job like that, wouldn't you? Getting to like be a drill sergeant, hurl the beat.
Until I can hire someone better enough to come along and do the job better, or until I die, right? Like, I guess as like self-proclaimed pirate captain, yeah, I gotta say that's what I was doing with Heron. Come on, put your shirt on. You're not that ugly, you know. Like, come on, you got the silky smooth voice, but you're full of shit. Your story, you know what I mean? It's fun, and he thinks it's fun too. I got him to throw his shirt on. He was visible. Like, come on, he's becoming part of the crew. He even looks like a pirate. Look at his shaved head. Like,
yeah. Well, he's made more money at his gig than any of us probably have. I mean,
well,
he's got the lunar calendar and Gendo, and he does podcasts, and I mean he's got the look and the deep voice and the gravitas and the trickster attitude.
Yeah.
He's like, it's like the full package there, pretty much.
Yeah. If anything, I just want to call him out every time he calls someone out. Here's the thing. I look at it like, if you are an easily mystified hippie wizard, susceptible to hippie voodoo, he just stumps them in their tracks. He's like, I don't even know what the self is. And they go, oh my God, story. You should be a teacher. That's what they tell him. Like, that's what they're like, oh my God, this is so... Can you like remind me of this? Like, to me, I don't know. I've been through that already. I've heard that enough. I've looked down that rabbit hole. I've become the monster I've seen looking into the abyss. You know what I mean? The abyss
and it stared back.
Yeah. Like, I've been there, done that. So when he does that, I'm just like, quit throwing a monkey wrench in the simple hippie's mind. Like, come on, we can. You know what the self is. Good enough. Let's go. Like, who cares if we don't really know? Whatever. It's electricity. Don't stick your fingers in the light socket. Like, we're having a meaningful conversation. Don't just stupefy them and suck up the mystical guru points. Because don't get me wrong, I find it charming, but I think ultimately that's why I think he got into the habit of doing that. It worked. It worked to stupefy people that were like saying stupid shit, and he's just like, you know what, that's just your story. What even is the I? And they're just like,
I think he's a frustrated Zen master, and that's like the verbal stick he's hitting the poor student with.
Yes. Totally. I hope he watches this and hears this. That's my 2 pennies on that.
Well, on that note, I'm gonna talk my other ear off and to myself next time.
Hey man, it was good talking to you. And it was,
let's make it a regular thing. I'll be here in a week, and we can even chat in between, for sure.
Yeah, man. It'll probably be maybe a couple times in between. If we can say get more of us. Heron's gonna be hard to convince to. He says he's willing to commit, but he isn't committing or whatever. No. Yeah. It was fun trying to keep the sea spirit of the salty sea spirits of piracy alive.
Yeah, and coupon.life is your watershed piracy project. We're heading for Venus.
Well, I joined the group, but I didn't actually thoroughly look at all this stuff. I'll admit. I will. Give me time.
Oh well, it's not. It's just a proto group. Yeah, it just points to a Facebook page with some ramblings, but it's gonna be interesting. I mean, I got my business verification from Google. I'm gonna start making QR codes and making customized coupons. Like, one thing, I think anyone with a CPR card should get 5% off. Because we need more CPR trained people out there to save the occasional life. And if you won't give a CPR trained person 5% off, you shouldn't be doing business with the public anyway. So let's just start with something like basic and humanitarian like that, right?
my CPR card expired
Well, you got to renew them every 2 years because you probably forgot half the stuff.
Well, I only had it to keep my job at
Yeah,
24-hour fitness.
it's usually, if you deal with the public, most employers require that now because it's like, oh, that guy had a heart attack and your employee couldn't save him because you were too stupid to like make that a requirement. Now you're going to jail or you're going to court at least.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll definitely try to contact you before an official full week, and I'll try to talk to Heron and some of the other guys too. You what?
I need to figure out a business model for this, and it's going to take greater minds than mine, probably. So.
Yeah, and I'll even try to reach out to Cesare, see if he'd be interested in talking without fucking me trying to keep demonic dreams alive of.
Hey, figure out what watershed Austin is in, and you can have the exclusive franchise. You can have the Austin watershed franchise.
Edwards Aquifer. I know that. Yeah.
If you meet the requirements in the franchise manual.
Right. It's okay. Listen. I might not be the head of all hierarchies. I just want to be the head of the pirate hierarchy. I can be fucking.
I'm a simple man. I just want to rule the world.
Yeah, dude. I just want to be the mascot. All right. I'm just a lightning rod. I say fiery stuff that gets everyone on board. Like, yeah, I'm the unifying symbol. But other than that, I'm just the designated asshole. Remember, I'm just the designated asshole. When shit goes down, yeah, I whip out the big sticks. But until then, I'm just the idiot who likes dangling carrots and sticks. But I'm just trying to keep the crew together. All right, I'm just trying to keep the ship afloat. And it'd be nice.
Well, undesignated asshole to designated asshole signing off.
All right. Well, I'll see you at the next undesignated time. All right.
All right.
I'll see you, Eddie.
Fight on and prosper.
Yeah, each long and prosperous.
Fight on. Do like the Spock to the fist. That's like.